So I want to talk about how do you handle disagreements between yourself and other faculty that's out there. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Massock. I'm an Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship, and I created this whole Reciprocity Project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I wanted to pay the favor for it to help you out. So this is a question from Professor Triple Extra Large, love the name by the way. And if you don't know the rules of this channel, if I answer one of your questions, please go do something nice randomly for somebody else. It's for you, it's not for me. And then leave comments in the show notes because we're trying to make the world a better place. So how do you handle these disagreements between faculty, like yourself and maybe it's other faculty or research assistants or other folks? So I'm going to tell you this right off the get-go. I feel that I don't do this particularly well, and it's something that I struggle with and I am learning as we go. So that's one thing that I want to point out is that don't view yourself as necessarily like not good at any of this kind of stuff or it's troublesome. View yourself as actually acquiring wisdom as you are going through these experiences. Life, so some people are born with the traits that they are definitely a lot more narcissistic and they can sort of do things, right, that you would never imagine. I am more on the empathetic side of things, and I am definitely not that kind of person. So I tend to, see the good in other people. I tend to see that I believe that other people are really nice, which is absolutely not true. We live in a day and age where you can look immediately in the popular press that's going on right now. What's the largest war crisis we've ever experienced in Europe since the Second World War in the Ukraine. We know that people are not nice. And maybe that, that there is not like a good and evil kind of divide between these things. And there are, right? Like some people are really just not very good people. However, they also have a lot of characteristics that that they themselves have experienced, and they have all of these sort of different troubles that they have experienced, right? So people get to the moment where maybe they're born into it, or maybe they have different experiences through life that become they can see how they can take advantage of the situation, and you're going to run into a lot of people like that. Either at your work or, at the work that you're at, or as you go into academia. And it's a little trickier in academia, and the reason why is that there's a lot more ambiguity that happens, right? So it's easy to sort of just fire somebody outside of academia because it just doesn't quite work out, right? You're usually in that role that you have that responsibility. But as faculty members, you can't do that. You're kind of working in this kind of like weird truce thing, right? It's hard to sort of navigate those particular things. And you have to figure out how to navigate some of these issues. So first of all, realize that if you're experiencing any of these things, you're probably a really good person and you are feeling somebody else's sort of troubles that are going on, right? That's in their life. This whole family work divide that we think about often is not the case, right? They blur together, very much blurred together, and that's what the sort of state of the art of the research in this area sort of suggests. I'm not a micro, a psychologist by any means, but I've sort of glanced at some of the abstracts that have come out of this area. And, it generally suggests that blends together, right? So the stresses you feel at home are the stresses that you're going to experience at work and all of those kind of things. So definitely acknowledge that that's going to go on. And people can be very aggressive when they're stressed, right? They're going to take advantage of you often. So I think for me, this is how I've been able to, I'm not good at handling disputes. I'm going to tell you that right off the get-go. I tend to put up a boundary to know that I'm a good person, and I'm going to do good things. And no matter what somebody does to me, I got to recognize that I'm a really good person inside, and I have to really stress those particular things day in and day out. The other thing to remember is sometimes the system puts people into sort of stressful situations, right? So university systems are really stressful generally. They don't bring out the best in a lot of people. So realize it's actually the system that is causing some of these things, and realize that you have to look at systematic changes and figure out how to navigate some of these systematic changes. So your direct supervisor, this is like the evidence in this area. From what I understand, I'm not like an organizational behavior person, but the evidence in this behavior suggests that your direct supervisor just is trumps everything out, and trumps everything, right? Like they have so much influence on your life. But what you need to realize is that you can navigate this system, and instead of thinking of disputes with sort of other people that are there, recognize that it is a system, and you can use the system that's actually there. So go talk to the next person ahead of you, go talk to a trusted colleague. Often, if there is a troublesome person, everybody kind of knows about this particular troublesome person, and they can give you some advice. Sometimes you can go talk to the ombuds person at your university. Sometimes they have those, or a provost or something like that, that would handle these kind of particular disputes, because they happen all the time. These are very much part of the life of faculty and as researchers of these disputes. It is not clear in terms of how to handle these things. But I think ultimately what it comes down to is you having the confidence to know that you're a good person, and know that you are, you're not misreading the situation. I think that that is the important thing to realize, because as empathetic people, which many of us are, so the reason why I'm saying this is that the people that are not empathetic, and they're more of the sort of controlling types and all that kind of stuff, they're never going to watch this. They're not that kind of person to sort of figure out what is going on. They think that they're right. They think that they're really good themselves, and they don't need any sort of input from the outside. Right, so they're never going to be able to sort of absorb this kind of thing. So you that's dealing with this, know that you're a good person deep down inside, and you're probably right in the circumstance, and you have to figure out how to navigate these particular disputes in a systematic way. And there's sort of two ways to sort of think about this, right? So you have to think about what's going on in their life, right? Use that empathy. That's actually a good thing, right? Don't forget that that is a really good thing. So use the thing, sort of give insight to what's going on in their life, but not only their life, but to other people that are going on around them, right? So get a sense, try to figure out what's going on, figure out like, man, what is going on here? I know I'm not crazy. What is going on? And then the other thing, use that sort of control, objectivity, where you can be more in control of your circumstance, right? So this is where you put on your rational hat, right? So don't use those emotions, and think about this in a systematic way of like, what is going on? How can I use this in such a way? Look at the faculty bylaws. Often that will give you a lot of clues in terms of what to do, because this has all been done before, right? And those faculty bylaws are there to help you out. And then, the last thing that you can do, sometimes that there's unions that are part of different institutions. You can see the different unions and talk to those particular people. And then finally, worst comes to worst, but I'd highly not recommend it. I mean, that's what lawyers are for, right? Lawyers are there to help you out in these circumstances. They're very good at dispute. That's what they're for. They're for dispute, and they can handle a lot of these kind of things. The reason why I don't recommend them until you're sure that you need to bring in a lawyer is because that creates a tremendous amount of tension in the situation, and you're probably going to have to leave that institution anyways if there's lawyers involved. It's not going to be a fun experience for anybody going forward because you've raised it to that level. That's the other thing. like I want you to think about at this moment, and I think this has really helped me out, is you think that you can walk away, right? You don't have to be in that circumstance. You're not trapped. You're not alone. Many people have been there before, and you figure out how to find the people that you can draw upon, but also realize you're not trapped, right? You can exit and go to a different institution. You can go to different jobs if you find it, right? And you have to simply have to look and know that you are not stuck in a particular spot. I think that's super important for all of us to remember. We are not trapped in any sort of way. That's an important thing to remember. You're not alone and you're not trapped. You can go do some wonderful things. You're just not in the right circumstance at this time. And look to see, A, how you can change that situation that you're part of, or B, look to see how you just go to a different situation and go to a different context. So hopefully this helped you out. And by the way, if you're experiencing this, given the question, I'd highly recommend for you to go talk to some therapists and talk through some of these things. It's going to be very helpful for you. Everybody uses those things these days. I've used them, use those resources. They're helpful. They should not be stigmatized in any sort of way. Think of it as just another tool at your fingertips to keep your sanity, because it is a challenging career, and we do experience these things on a regular basis because there's a lot of ambiguity and uncertainty in the situation. So with that, hopefully, Professor Triple Extra Large, go do something nice. It's going to make you feel better at this moment. All right, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.